Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the main room. Now we are going to start the panel discussion with the topic hybrid learning, challenges and support. Okay, you can prepare yourself. You may have a drink. And if you're ready, without further ado, let's welcome our panelists. First one is Dr. Dave E. Marshall from Silliman University, Philippines. Second, Dr. Yuda Tianto from Trinity Christian College, USA. And the third one is Dr. Tri Basuki Juwono from Parahyangan University, Indonesia. And Dr. Henny Hartono from Sugio Pranoto Catholic University, Indonesia. And the last one is Dr. Min Yuli, the Dean of Global Engagement, Associate Professor of International Business, Changrong Christian University, Taiwan. And this parallel session will be led by Dr. Eka Wati Dukut. Dr. Eka, the screen is yours.
Hello, good morning towards afternoon, everyone. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Okay,
Good morning.
thank you.
Good morning.
Right.
Good.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, I trust that some of you were enjoying the parallel sessions we just had. For now, let me greet you here in this main session room. You are as enthusiastic as I am in having you here for the panel discussion with professors from the Philippines, USA, Indonesia, and Taiwan on a topic about hybrid learning challenges and support. I am Ekawati, as also already introduced by our beautiful MC this morning, from Sugio Pranoto Catholic University. It's my pleasure that in this opportunity, I will be giving you guiding questions for the panelists to answer based on their experiences. Yet before I give the questions, I hope the Zoom viewers wouldn't mind if I take some of your precious time into reading our distinguished guest panelists, our panelists' backgrounds. First of all, we have here our Associate Professor, Dr. Dave E. Marshall. How are you, sir? You are the Director for Silliman Online University Learning from Silliman University, Dumaguete City, Philippines. Yeah. You're also a United Board Fellow and an IT specialist who experienced working for the IT education of the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, then also for being an executive director of the Asian University Digital Resource Network, former president of the Philippine Society for IT Educators, former vice president, Philippine E-Learning Society, and board advisors of the Computing Society of the Philippines Special Interest Group on Information and Computing Education. Dear Zoom viewers, please welcome Dr. Dave E. Marshall.
Good
Next,
morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Our second panelist is Dr. Yuda Tianto, who is Professor of Theology at Trinity Christian College in Palos Heights, Illinois, USA, where he has taught for more or less 20 years. Yes, sir, from 2001.
Yes, that's right.
You earned your PhD in historical theology from Calvin Theological Seminary, Grand Rapids. Originally, you are from Indonesia. Wow, you're currently searching the history of the singing of metrical psalms from Calvin's Geneva. Wow, that's interesting. Through the Netherlands to the East Indies. And your forthcoming publication for May 2022 is entitled An Explorer's Guide to John Calvin. Dr. Yudianto, please join us in this distinguished panel discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next panelist is Mr. Tri Basuki Juwono, PhD, who is from the Department of Civil Engineering, Faculty of Engineering of Parahyangan Catholic University, Bandung, Indonesia. He holds a doctoral degree from Saitama University, Japan. His research interest is in the area of transportation, including the infrastructure management, built environment, public transportation, travel behavior, and urban transportation. At present, you are the Vice Rector of Academic Affairs. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Mr. Tri Basuki. And next to be amongst us is Dr. Min Yu Lee. She is an Associate Professor of International Business from Shangyang Christian University, Taiwan, where she has been teaching at CJCU for over 20 years also, and mainly offers courses on cross-cultural communication training, Like Dr. Marshall, Dr. Min Yu is also a United Board Fellow. She was Director for the Language Education Center for 4 years and was responsible for the language education policy for the university. She is now the Dean of Global Engagement and in charge of the university's international affairs, especially in promoting international programs and the internalization of CJCU. Welcome, Dr. Min Yu Lee.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Last but not least is our very own chairperson of 2021 Alpha, Dr. Henny Hartono. She is also fortunate to be a United Board Fellow. She is an associate professor at the English Department, Faculty of Language and Arts, Sudio Pranata Catholic University. Currently, she also serves as the Director of Teaching and Learning Center since September 2021. A newbie, right, Miss? Okay, so
Right.
previously she was Director of International Affairs and Cooperation Office, which explains why she has so many connections here, which are very distinguished. And Dr. Henny Hartono was also Dean for the Faculty of Language and Arts. Her research interests include second language acquisition, teaching English as a foreign language, and recently about the integration of technology and language assessment. So with your vast experience, Dr. Henny, it gives us pleasure to also have you here in our panel discussion. Welcome.
Thank you,
Well,
Dr. Eka. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, well, distinguished panelists and Zoom viewers, as has been expressed by many of our plenary and panel speakers from yesterday until this morning, the COVID-19 pandemic has been a blessing in disguise for teachers and students' involvement in technology. Some have expressed that if it was not for the pandemic, we may not have arrived at today's condition where most of our lives are now depending on how frequently we are all using our gadgets. For this reason, this is why we are having this panel discussion. We'd like to hear your comments and experiences about the challenges and support of hybrid learning. So first of all, if you don't mind, Dr. Marshall, being the Director for Silliman Online University Learning, may we learn from you how your university in the Philippines have planned about conducting hybrid learning and explaining to us. Perhaps you could also inform to us the challenges you had in the past, and so the hybrid learning is as it is now.
Yeah, thank you for that very relevant and recent questions, because currently in our country, Philippines in particular, our government is issuing guidelines and policies on going back on campus. It means we call this limited face-to-face, and that is basically the hybrid learning. In these unprecedented times, there are so many things that we have to prepare. As we all know, we are off guard with the transition from full online learning to, like for Silliman, the full online distance learning. And now we are in the transition from the full online distance learning to a blended or a hybrid flexible learning. Challenges, there are a lot. Say, for example, for last year, it is more of getting techno and pedagogical skills for the teachers. As we learned from the past, training, having a 1 week training, a 1 month training to acquire skills in an online distance learning, I believe that is also similar, that it is a challenge for many teachers in higher private education to acquire skills in terms of the hybrid delivery. Although the common denominator with this is the use of educational technology. Now, I also see institutional challenges in terms of preparedness, in terms of preparation, and in terms of resiliency of this kind of pedagogy. Instructional and institutional support, and what are this? There should be a change in the institutional process. While in the classroom, we feel that we have to change. There is a transition from online to hybrid learning. Yes, teachers were trained. faculty members are trained, upskilled, and reskilled in terms of blended or hybrid delivery. But my concern really is, are our higher education institutions, in terms of institutional processes, are revised, modified in order to meet the required and the requirement in a specific hybrid delivery. The institution should have established a standing and a permanent support in terms of pedagogy, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of processes. Say, for example, at Seliman, my office online, Seliman Online University Learning, was just created last year. And accordingly, this office will not only survive for the COVID, but it is the long-term plan of the university to go on and find for another cohort of learners, which is on the online. For the meantime, my office handles from preparation down to assessment together with our Office of Instruction, which means we provide training, not just simply acquiring skills, but we provide techno-pedagogical training, rescaling, upscaling, and rescaling on how to embed technology. And I think the most lessons learned that we got from the past, which would be input for our upcoming limited face-to-face, is an office or a support like my office should focus on pedagogy, not just simply on the use of the platform in teaching and learning.
Hey, that's interesting. With that said, Dr. Henny Hartono, now currently as Director of Teaching and Learning Center in Sugio Prada Catholic University. How is it in this university? Could you also kindly share to us how it was done previously, how you have, or how the university has planned it, and so that currently the hybrid learning is as it is? Would you like to explain to us, Dr. Henny?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Eka. Well, actually, our Japanese Catholic University actually started to introduce hybrid learning a few years ago, even before the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2018, the rector of SCU issued rector rule regarding hybrid learning, and the lecturers, the faculty members can include online meetings in their syllabus during the semester. But at that time, we're only allowed to have 3 until 4 online meetings during the semester. And the teachers, the faculty members were trained to use the LMS. Our LMS is Moodle-based LMS. And at that time, because it's like an option, yeah, it is like an option for the faculty members whether to have the online classes or to have fully offline classes. So not many faculty use the facilities in the LMS. Only a few of us make use the technology and the LMS for having the hybrid learning. But when we had the COVID-19 pandemic and we had to lock down the campus, we had no choice. We had to use the LMS and all of the things that have been prepared by the university. So at that time, ready or not, we have to use the LMS. And now, when the government allow the campus to open the campus and welcome the students to study at the campus, we start to open the campus and welcome students to return back to our campus. We can apply the hybrid learning method. However, it's a bit different from the previous design. This time, because we have to serve students who come offline and also students who are studying from their home. Then we have to prepare everything. We have to be ready for the infrastructure and also the teaching method that we are going to apply for our classes. We have trainings, for the teachers to operate the tools that will support the teaching and learning process where we are having the hybrid learning. However, it's not always as good as we expected because when we have hybrid learning and then we have students in front of us and we also have students at home following our sessions from the LMS, sometimes it's just not easy to for the teachers to focus on the students who are at home and also students who are in front of us. So I agree with Mr. Martial that we also need to give concern on the pedagogy and even the andragogy to motivate our students to have initiative in learning. So they cannot maybe rely to teachers 100%. They also have to motivate themselves to join the session, and that's how things are going on right now. And in our campus now, the offline classes are mostly for classes which have laboratory activities. So the students have to come to campus and they can have the activities at the campus. I think that the things that I can get so far. Ibu Ekawati.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Dr. Henny. It's interesting that pedagogy seems to be the key word that needs to be focused on for the success of hybrid learning at the moment. So in this case, also from Indonesia, I would also like to invite the experiences to be shared from Dr. Tri Basuki. You're also from Indonesia, but you're mostly in the civil engineering, where I believe that you need to have a place where they do their lab work. Now, Dr. Henny was just mentioning also that it's quite challenging to do lab work, and therefore that's one of the courses. If there is lab work, then it is suggested that they would meet offline. So how is it in the civil engineering department? Is that the case? Has that been the case? Has that been offline all this time during the pandemic, or did you also have to do online? And when now it's opened for hybrid learning, how is it done in your university? Please share us your experience, Doctor.
Thank you. But I want to share about the Parahyangan Catholic University as a whole, not just the department. Okay. With the same reasons as the previous presenter, we define in UNPAR hybrid learning as a teaching synchronously on site as well as off site. So we want to provide the same learning experience as before, as a conventional that people, the student and the lecturer meet together. But the difference in this time is using the technology. We provide a tracking camera, a laptop, wireless microphone, Bluetooth speaker, and a tablet. And we also have a learning management system. We call it this IDE, Interactive Digital Learning Environment, which allow our lecturer to conduct learning asynchronously. To support the IDE or the LMS, we also provide online meeting platform such as Google Meeting, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and etc. As in Sugio Pranoto, actually we already have this LMS several years ago, but the usage is very small. But thanks to the pandemic, it's instantly 100% using this LMS. That's interesting actually. And before we conduct the hybrid learning, all the lecture are given trainings to make sure they are comfortable with the equipment, because they change from the conventional to using the technology, right? And using in the classroom. The technical support also provided using the learning. Lastly, as a prerequisite, UNPAR also implements strict protocol. In some case, in some extent, this is limit the number of students and the lecturer to come to the office, to the campus. Because we have a regulation that student and the lecturer who allowed to come to the university are those who have complete vaccinated. So it means some of them cannot come to the class. From that experience, we found that there are several things that are challenging. The first one is to prepare how the lecture, so they will able to use the device smoothly. The second one, it is still challenging to provide the same learning experience of students. Yet many of them are still comfortable coming back to campus. And the third is still a challenge to create the right learning environment for hybrid learning. This includes reliable internet connection, and the most important thing is about the pedagogy, because it's different from how to develop the material, how to prepare, how to conduct classes, how to evaluate. The previous presentation in the first day, the ethics. So it's just booming, many people just working together. So how we evaluate them individually, that's significantly. The last one, it is a unique and challenge to encourage lecturer and student to willing to come to the campus. We have a struggle with that. We start in last November, we only have 30 classes from almost 500 classes. We only have 30 who willing to come, because they already feel comfort online. So the other things, the challenging thing is how to encourage them to back to the campus and doing the hybrid. That's from the Parahyangan University experience.
Hey, thank you. So it seems that we are already enjoying being in this Zoom arena, not going to school in reality. And so, yeah, as you say, it's difficult to encourage students to come back and do offline work. Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. Dr. Min Yu Lee, how's the microphone? Working? Okay, good. We would also like to learn about how it's done in CJCU with hybrid learning, especially also in promoting international programs. Would you say that internationally we should be taking advantage of this? And if, for example, there is this condition where we are all normal again, everyone is going back to the usual classrooms, do you think that this kind of hybrid learning should still continue, or do you predict that it'll be just back to the usual position where we're not even using Zoom anymore? How was it in CJCU, especially in the case where you were experiencing the pandemic this last 2 years, and how you think it would be in the future?
Okay, thank you. So everyone could hear me okay, right? I just suddenly found out that my connection here is not stable. So I'll try to not moving anything else to let you could hear me properly. Okay, Thank you for the question. And I think this is a very good question, especially I work in the Office of Global Engagement. And I tried my best to promote international program to my students and also offer opportunities to students from our partner universities to could join CJCU and interact or mingle with CJCU students and faculties for their development. And in Taiwan, before May of this year, Taiwan actually handled the COVID-19 pandemic epidemic pretty well. So Taiwan's Ministry of Education did not really require the school levels to implement distance education. But around May of this year, the outbreak in the community placed Taiwan under the nationwide epidemic alert at level 3, strictly restricting the movement and gathering of people. Therefore, Taiwan government announced and request to replace classroom teaching with distance teaching. And since then, Taiwan school at all levels have begun to face the real challenges of the implementation of distance education. And when all the students are online, well, the school first need to find an appropriate platform for everybody. And to conduct this kind of synchronous teaching. And with this synchronous teaching mode, since I've already worked in the Office of Global Engagement, so we understand that this virtual teaching and learning has been a trend in education that cannot be returned. Therefore, we Office of Global Engagement actively cooperate with our sister universities for the online exchange student program. To keep COVID-19 from interrupting the opportunities for students to connect with the international community. And by making the international students from the exchange student program learn with the local students who has returned to the campus, and we first attempt to implement the online learning and the classroom learning at the same time, which is a little bit different from the, I don't know if this is so-called hybrid learning. Anyway, our Taiwanese students, they're sitting in the classroom. They receive the physical teaching, while we have a virtual classroom happening at the same time to include students from all over the world, and they learn together. So I think this trend would keep going. That means I don't see that even though after the pandemic and we resume to or we enter into a new normal, people could start gather together and students could return to the classroom. But this is still considered as a very effective and good way for international education. So I'm very positive to see this mode of learning and teaching would keep going, especially for international programs. Yeah, that's the situation in CJCU so far.
All right. There was an unstable connection, I guess. We didn't quite hear the last part, but I got the idea that in your prediction, it will still go on, especially for internalization and also in having a joint work with other universities who want to do some international programs with CJCU. Okay. Right. Dr. Yuda Pianto, how is hybrid learning in the USA? You are welcome to talk about Trinity Christian College